Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Talk podcast. My name is Ozzie and I'm your host for today's show. And as you can see, we are joined by a very special guest, Sofia from Football Talk. Sofia, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Not too bad. I'd say I'm in a better mood than I probably was last week, considering the bad results we had against Real Madrid. But we're not talking about that too much. Um, let's talk about Manchester United to start off with. So, a fantastic win for you guys last week, winning the Carabao Cup.
Yep.
Some people call it the Mickey Mouse Cup. In my eyes, it's still silverware, so it all counts in
Amen.
my eyes. And also
Mm-hmm.
qualifying for the next round of FA Cup, beating West Ham midweek. So, how are you feeling after that cup win?
I'm feeling very good. I mean, finally, like a 6 year, trophy drought is finally
Yeah,
over. So we're ready to get, I mean, at least I can speak for myself. I'm definitely ready to get another trophy in the cabinet. I want more. It's kind of like ooh, this was good, but let's go for another one.
you
It's
got a
kind of
taste
the
for it
vibe
now.
there. Yeah, exactly. For sure.
Would you
Yeah.
buy into that quad talk, or are you a bit more sort of like, let's just take it a game at a time?
I would say like I'm more so probably like let's take it a game by game, but I do, it's possible,
Of
but
course.
I'm more so like, hey, I'm enjoying the ride as it goes, then maybe like a double or treble would be something that's more attainable for us,
Yeah,
but I wouldn't completely write off a quad for sure, but you never know.
you never know. You're in it to win it, so you just have to take it
Yeah,
from there, I guess. In
exactly.
terms of United's fortune this year, so obviously you appointed a new manager in Ten Hag last summer. I think there were, I think a lot of positivity with that appointment, but still a little bit of skepticism because he's not been proven in sort of the higher leagues to say, what have you made
Mhm.
of his season so far?
Oh, he's been exceptional. I mean, we were at a very bad state last season,
Yeah,
very toxic environment from top to bottom. So it's been very nice to see the complete 180 that Ten Hag has done, giving the winning mentality and just it literally looks united, pun intended. It looks
yeah.
really good to be a United fan right now, and Ten Hag has done a remarkable job, in my opinion. And yeah, I'm all aboard for whatever Ten Hag is cooking. I'm ready to eat. It's literally my mindset right now. So yeah.
I'll say it as I won't say as a Liverpool fan, I'll say as a neutral football fan, I think he
Yeah.
was the right appointment for Manchester United. I think he was one of
Mhm.
the highly sought out coaches in world football. I've
Yep.
been impressed in terms of what he did at Ajax, but also he was at Bayern Munich with Pep earlier on in his
Mhm.
career as well. So you can see
Yep.
he has that pedigree in his coaching, and that is the key coaching. I think with Ole, I think he probably tried to do too much too soon, whereas with Ten Hag, he knows how to coach players. He's made some big decisions as well, getting rid of Cristiano Ronaldo, which I'm sure a lot of coaches may have not had the guts to even consider doing that. So he's made
Exactly.
some big calls.
He really
Um,
has.
he's done really well so far. How are you feeling about going into this game? I know you've just come from a Carabao Cup win. You also won against West Ham early in the week. So
Hmm.
confidence is high. Morale is high within the Manchester United squad. Liverpool, on the other hand, we've just beaten Wolves, so a bit more better spirits than I would say about 10 days ago. Are you worried about this fixture? Because for me, in terms of history, it doesn't matter about the form of either team. When it comes to this fixture, I think that goes out the window. So, how are you feeling going into this game?
I feel pretty confident. I'm not gonna lie. Like I remember, compared to, the game where we played each other, early on in the season. I believe it
Yeah,
was potentially like the third game. Um, you know, for us coming into that game in terms of, having lost at home to Brighton and then getting slapped up to Brentford away and then getting into the game, even though it was at our ground. That's probably the only game where I felt like, "Ugh, I'm not confident." But this time the tables definitely have turned, and
yeah.
I am very looking forward to it. I am confident. I do believe we're gonna, go to Anfield and we're gonna be leaving here with something. We're gonna. I believe that something is gonna be a win, and that's what I'm
Wow.
manifesting. And I'm not really concerned if I'm going to be completely honest. I back my team. I back, my manager in terms of, his in-game management. So I'm very positive. I do think that overall, like, if you're just a football, neutral, this
Yeah.
game is definitely going to be an epic and intriguing game for sure. But as a Man United fan, going into this, I'm hopeful. I'm excited
To be fair, you
for
have
sure.
every right to feel in that way. As a Liverpool fan, I'm not going to be shameless and say, "Oh, I'm in high spirit." We're in better spirits than we were last week, to say the least.
Hmm.
But this season, we've been so inconsistent. I
Yeah.
think it's pretty much evident in terms of one of the reasons why Liverpool haven't been a force this year. We've got an aging midfield. We've had injuries. I don't want to get the violin out for this one, but it has been the tale of our season where we've had a lot of injuries to our key players, and they've just returned to injury. So almost a fit squad now. So I'm feeling a bit more positive, not as optimistic as you, but I think, to be fair, you have every right to feel in that way. Just got a few
Okay.
comments here. So we've got True City Fan here first. Thank you, True City Fan. Appreciate you commenting. Jordan as well says, I'm here. Thank you, Jordan, for joining the show. And Brush, like, share, sub. Thank you, as always, for your support, Brush. Really appreciate it. Now, let's do our predicted lineups. How do you see Ten Hag setting up the team against Liverpool? Do you think it'll be the same formation or the same personnel, or do you think he might alter the tactics for this game?
I feel it could probably be much more like the same formation, maybe altered a little bit. Um, I would say, since we did have a FA Cup round of 16 game against West
Yeah.
Ham, which we had like six, changes to that squad, with having, starting Lindelöf and Maguire and whatnot and Dallo. I don't see them starting particularly into this game. So he'll probably go strong in, with the back four of Luke Shaw, hopefully being back as he wasn't available for the FA Cup game. Wan-Bissaka, for me, I hope he will be starting. Um, which, if you would have asked me, would I be reliant of Wan-Bissaka this part of the season, probably would be saying no. To be
Mhm.
honest, I definitely was writing him off completely early on and saying, no, 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 we're gonna focus on Dallo. We'll probably go for another right back. Right now, the tables have turned a little bit since the
Mhm.
World Cup has been extremely important. Gotten an opportunity to play, and he hasn't looked back since. So I think in terms of this game, we do need a player like Wan-Bissaka in terms of some okay, maybe it's not the best of attacking wise and whatnot, but he does offer some good aspect when it comes to 1v1, defending and whatnot. So for me, we got to have him there. Okay, I didn't even mention the goalkeeper, but the hair. Do we definitely need to discuss that? No, no, the hair. It is,
Yeah.
and that midfield, Casemiro, maybe even Fred. I feel like Fred for like the big games does show up. You know,
Mhm.
when we maybe might not have the ball as much, he definitely you know, is somebody to bring the energy in there and pressing wise and whatnot. Casimir, of course, is, once again, that's a given. We all know that. And
Yeah.
then Bruno Fernandes, I would say Rashford on the left, and then Anthony, as he did come back for the Barcelona game after being injured for a while, and then maybe Wout Weghorst up front. All Martial hasn't really been available that much this season, so there's
Yeah.
not really that much option when it comes to the center forward. Although we could potentially bring have Rashford be the striker, but I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with having Weghorst up there. Then if you do need to switch a little bit, you can
Mhm.
bring a Ganacho off from the bench. So that's kind of what I'm predicting the lineup to be. But you never know. You never know with Ten Hag. He always does seem to surprise and have to maybe change it up in the second half. But I do think this will probably be more or less what it will look like in my opinion. But we'll see.
That's fair enough. I think from the lineup you mentioned, Rashford for me is the key danger man in your team, which is for obvious saying.
Yeah.
I think whether he plays up front or on the left, I think he will take advantage of Liverpool's misfortunes right now. Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold has been pretty much the scapegoat, where if we lose, it's his fault. Apparently, it's not always the case,
No.
but he is the easy target right now. So playing Rashford on the left might suit in terms of how United set up. In terms of Liverpool, for me, obviously Alisson is kind of like the same with De Gea. It goes without saying
Mm.
they're going to be the first choice goalkeepers. The
Yeah.
back, the back four, I would go for. This might surprise you. I might actually go for Simicast to start on the left hand side because he had a great
Interesting.
game against Wolves, and I feel like
Yeah.
Robertson has looked a bit burnt out, in my opinion. So
Yeah, he does look a bit burnt out.
yeah,
I see your point. Yeah,
we've
for sure.
overplayed him far too
Oh,
much.
100%.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but then that's what I would do, but I have a feeling
Mm,
Klopp will play Robertson just because of the magnitude of the game, and he pretty much
yeah.
did get a rest midweek. He didn't participate at all, so I can see that
Yeah.
happening. But I like the
Yep.
variation of the passing that Simicast possess.
Mm,
Robertson can pretty much be quite robotic, where he bombs down the left hand side and just pins a lot of crosses, but they're not really aimed at anyone. So
mm,
that's one of
yeah.
his criticisms, I would say, this season for
Mm,
Robertson. I'll say the two centre backs. I'd go for Van Dijk and Konate. I'm really happy that Konate is back.
he's a
Matt,
baller. I like Konate. I
yeah,
think he's really good. I rate him.
and Matip has been, I think, in the last 18 months, has been one of our top centre backs. But in the last few
Mm,
months, he's been under.
has to look.
Yeah,
Mm.
he's been off.
Has to
He's
look
been off.
good.
No, he's been off the boil.
Mm,
So some
mm,
fans are already
yeah.
saying that he should leave the club. So which I think is a
Yeah.
bit far fetched. I wouldn't just say get rid of the player because he's had a few bad games. But
Mm,
I think for
yeah.
this game, I think Konate would be great to sort of fend off any challenges coming from Rashford or Weghorst if he starts this game. So I think he would have a great presence in that back four. Midfield. Now this is a tricky one because we've got an Asian midfield. We don't have we don't have a lot to choose from. Um, only positive that I can take from our last fixture is Fabinho actually had a decent game. So
Yeah, I
whether that
heard that.
yeah, not an elite performance
No.
without the imagination, but he
Mm-hmm.
had a much better performance. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's not a one-off, and he actually performs and continues a good run of games. So I'd go for Fabinho there. Bashetic, our young player that's broken into the team. I think we're overusing him, but we don't have much choice right now. So unfortunately, he will start this game. He's been great, but I feel like he's been rushed into the limelight too soon, in my opinion, and he's been played too many times. But like I said, we don't have a lot of options there.
Yeah.
Alongside him is the one that I'm scratching my head in terms of who would partner these two in midfield.
Mm.
Henderson has been below par, and I'm being polite. I'm trying to keep it PG. So he's, he's
Yeah,
been
he's.
below par.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you can say that as a United fan that you've probably seen him in recent weeks. He's been
Yeah,
awful, awful.
that's
So
very true, man. Yeah.
yeah, so I'd probably and we don't have a great selection of players. Naby Keita, I don't know if you've seen my previous content. I'm not a big, I'm not his fan. I'm not a biggest fan of Naby Keita.
Mm.
His last performance was against Real Madrid, and he got subbed off half time, I believe.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for
Ay, ay,
me,
ay.
I have no confidence in him whatsoever.
Yeah.
Harvey Elliott. So I did a match preview last week where I actually wanted Harvey Elliott to start our previous game for tactical
Okay.
reasons, but
Mm.
I don't think this is the right game for him because I think United with Casemiro and Fred, they're going to be a
Yep.
very compact duo in midfield, and I don't
Yep.
think Elliott will have a lot of the chance on the ball with those two
Same.
as his opposition. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go for. Oh, this is so hard. I don't even know who to choose. Um, I'll have to go for Henderson, but that's not because I want him to start. Is I have
No.
no choice. Thiago still isn't available. I think in terms of our casualties, I think Gomez is still out. He's not quite ready to play, and Diaz isn't ready either. So front three, Salah on the right. I think that goes without saying. Gakpo has been playing more centrally since we've signed him, but I think for this game, I think Jota will start this game. So I think Jota will play in that central position, and I'll
Mm.
probably go for Gakpo on the left hand side. So
Oh, what about
don't know, guys.
Nunes?
Yeah, let me know what you guys think in terms of my lineup there. I've gone for
Yeah.
Gakpo because I think playing against United might help. I think he was linked with the club as well, so he might just want to prove a point where
What?
he wants to show his quality to the opposition. But I feel like this might be a game where might suit him because he's expected to start against Wan-Bissaka. And
Mm,
Wan-Bissaka one-on-one is really great. But the
mm,
thing with Gakpo, he doesn't always take on his fullback. He likes to
yeah,
drift in centrally. So that might be a good tactic to deploy where you
maybe.
might get Wan-Bissaka out of position and that left back can use that space on the left-hand side and exploit that area. So
Mm.
that's just my tactical way of looking at it.
I
Um,
see that.
but yeah, so we've got a couple comments here. Got Daz, big up Sofia. How you doing today?
Doing good.
And another comment, big up. Do you think Harvey or Hendo starts? So we were just saying that. So I wouldn't start Harvey Elliott in this game. I think Hendo will get the nod ahead, not based on form. I think it's due to having no choice whatsoever. So
Mm,
yeah, it is what it is in that regards. What we can do now is we can do a combined 11. I will
okay.
try and not to be biased. I will have an open mind and select the players here.
Yeah,
So let's just share some graphics here, everyone. So
yeah.
we've got the goalkeeper, which is interesting because I think De
Oof.
Gea has been player of the season for United for continuous consecutive season, I think, the last 2-3 years. And he's
Yeah.
still having a great season this year. But
Mm,
Allison, for me, has been the busier of his whole Liverpool career. He hasn't been as busy as he normally has because he had to make
mm.
a lot of saves. So, in terms of comparison, who do you think's had the better season so far?
I mean, we. I've been again. I've been like the hair stamp for the longest time. Like I love the
Okay.
guy for sure. I also do really rate Allison. I would say like
Mm,
in terms of even though Liverpool has kind of been not having the best season,
no.
whatnot, like we all know. But I would say maybe Allison have kind of been a little bit of a light in that, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Yes, there's been some mistakes here and there, but you know, I I would love to put the hair in there, but I almost feel like when it comes to the goalkeepers, I would maybe say maybe I put Allison in there, but I will definitely let's just say it's going to be a lot more other players that it's going to be more Red Devils in here.
yeah, I
We'll
was gonna
say
say
that. So
you're being very kind, so I'm not going to argue that. I would definitely take that without saying anything else. Let's go for the left back. So we've got Robertson, Luke Shaw, Simicast, and I would say Malacia as well in contention. So
yeah.
who would you go for as your left back?
Oh, Luke Shaw, he's been incredible. He has been amazing. I mean, started off a little bit shaky at the beginning of the season, and then Malasia got a shout and was playing for good, also decent for a few games. But then, you know, ever since kind of Luke Shaw was gotten back into the team again,
Yeah.
he's been incredible playing also as a left center back. But he's been so good. So for me, there's no other than Luke Shaw in my opinion. But you know,
I'll have to agree with that one. I can't really stake a claim too highly for Simicast or Robertson. Robertson for me has been quite inconsistent this year.
mm,
Simicast barely gets a game, so I can't really have a shout for him. So
mm,
I'll have to select Luke Shaw for that. So let's go
see,
for the right fullback. So I'll let
oof.
you let you start that point.
I mean, I feel I could either say like Dallo or I could say Wan-Bissaka, Dallo. I would say up until, like I said, World Cup, he's been, one of the most consistent players and one of the most
Mm,
improved players under Ten Hag. But then he hasn't maybe played that much since coming back from the World Cup as he was dealing with the injury. And then Wan-Bissaka was really amazing. So I would be okay with either one. Trent, I know that you did say like okay, Trent often sometimes can be like the scapegoat and whatnot
yeah,
for when Liverpool are doing bad. I defensively he's not the best. We all know that, but going forward, I would say he's definitely one of the best when it comes to his crossing and whatnot.
yeah.
he's great. But if we're taking into account the season in form,
Yeah.
and this is me literally trying to be a little bit like unbiased and whatnot, and more neutral, but I got to back my guys. So I would say maybe I would probably say Dallo. I would say
Hello?
Dallo. Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't gonna do a big argument with that one, because
Okay.
I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Trent for me has I would say one point about Trent. I think he's done
Yeah.
a lot better since the World Cup. So before the World
Yeah.
Cup, I think he was having a torrid time.
Mm,
But since we returned, I think he's improved his defending.
mm-hmm.
The performance against Wolves was one of his best performances, where he was literally everywhere. So
Oh,
he's
okay.
gaining some confidence. But like we're saying, we're doing this as a whole season review so far.
Mm.
So yeah, I can't I can't really give up too much of a huge fight in that regards. Centre back pairing. So we'll start with the right sided one. So we've
Yeah.
got Konate, Matip from Liverpool, and then you've got Varane,
Yeah.
you've got Lindelof as well, or Maguire. Who would you like? Who would you argue to say who's been the better centre back out of the players that I've mentioned?
Varane, Rolls Royce, Varane, Champions League, Varane, World Cup winning Varane. That's who I will put in there. The guy is, not the most vocally,
Mm,
player and whatnot. Okay, he might not be like, the guy that shouts the loudest and whatnot, but he's just more so like, I, I, I clock in, I clock out. I just do my job, and that's it. I'm not
yeah,
trying to be all, you know what I'm saying? Like he's one of those
yeah,
people. You at that job. He's not bothering anybody. He's not here with the drama. I just want to do my job. That's it. That's
yeah,
it. But he's still be, he I don't know. He's been so good alongside Lisandro Martinez, but also when there's been certain games where Martinez hasn't been playing, and it had like incorporating Luke Shaw as his center back partner, then Varane is somebody that will guide you, somebody that will help you
mm,
out. And he's been incredible. Often goes a little bit under the radar, but
yeah.
that's not necessarily a bad thing. He lets other people shine, but he does an incredible job. So I kind of need to back my guy here in terms of that.
No,
But
I think that's a fair point. He's definitely made a big transition. Last year, I think he was probably Conference League Varane, but now he's definitely Champions League Varane now. So fair, fair play to him. I think he definitely deserves to be in the lineup.
yeah,
Now the left-sided uh, centre back. So you've got Van Dijk, you've got uh,
we have
Martinez, who you mentioned as well.
yeah.
Um, who was well, would put Maguire in there, and probably wouldn't put Joe Gomez in there either. Everyone
Uh-huh.
starts calling him Ice Spice nowadays. So yeah, he's been doing some woeful defending to say the
Oh
least.
wow.
So it'll probably be down to I would say Martinez and Van Dijk. So who would you go for?
I would say Lisandro Martinez, man. He's I mean, when it compared to while Varane is maybe not the most okay shouting and whatnot.
Yeah,
Martinez, I would say, is a lot more opposite. He kind of does the dirty work. He will be like, you know what? I'll go head into a tackle and whatever. Okay, somebody can kick me in the face. I'll move on. It's fine. It's
yeah,
okay. He'll be there. He be applauding every type. He high fiving when it comes to every tackle one, and any clearance and what he's just. Oh, this guy has been a revelation. Alongside another person we'll obviously talk about Casemiro and whatnot. But
yeah,
yeah, for me, Martinez has been one of the best signings so far this season. He's been incredible. So you know, hey, I would
yeah.
love to put him in there, but
No, do you know what? I feel like I'm sounding like a United fan because I'm just agreeing to everyone you're saying in terms of United. But I have to be honest, I have been impressed with Martinez. I think there was a
mm,
lot of doubts when he joined United,
mm,
which was probably not the right, I think, assessment, saying that he's not tall enough to be a Premier League defender.
exactly.
I just think that was quite unfair. You have to look at the player's ability. He's not the
Yeah,
first centre back that's 5'8" or 5'9". There's been a lot of
exactly.
elite centre backs in the previous years. So
Real talk.
I think this season, yeah, he's definitely one of the star performers. And the good thing about Martin is he can play in different positions as well. So he offers flexibility to that team. So yeah, and Van Dijk for me, look, for Liverpool fans, obviously Van Dijk is Van Dijk, but he's not been that colossal as he has been in previous
Mm,
years, in my opinion.
yeah,
That injury that he suffered last year, was it 2 years ago now, against Everton? He's not the same player, unfortunately,
he doesn't
but he
look the
has.
same. That's
He's not
true.
the same,
No,
and
it's not.
it was a unfortunately it was a sort of career threatening injury. He's still a top solid
Hmm.
defender, but I don't think we're going to see that Van Dijk. But you will see a world class defender nevertheless. But he just
Mm,
hasn't been consistent enough for me to
exactly.
put him in this team. So I
Mm.
will reluctantly go for Martinez. I don't think it's going to get any better. So we'll keep moving in terms of the midfield. So yeah, this is an easy debate. I don't think we're going to have a lot of arguments here. Defensive midfielder. So Casemiro, be honest, when you signed him in the summer,
Yeah.
what were your views about him? Do you think you were signing a player that was past his best, or were you quite excited with his acquisition?
No, I was excited. I was one of those people. Why would you even come here? Like I
Ah,
was more so like looking at him sideways. I was shocked that we were even able to get somebody of his stature, just because I know I just really think he's incredible. I was thinking I'm I'm not gonna be surprised if he does very well, but I wasn't expecting him to do this well so soon. That's kind of been more so what what's been incredible to see how he's just really taking the Premier League by storm and, you
yeah,
know, really showcase his level, not just defensive wise, but the guy scoring goals, assisting, so good with the ball at his feet and passing and whatnot. I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was this good, to be
yeah.
completely honest. So for me, um I didn't really question him one bit. um but I do of course see the people that was maybe thinking, just because we have gotten like marquee signings before, with people thinking, okay, this is a really good player, but are they maybe just coming here for the money? That wasn't necessarily me, but I can understand that people sometimes would be questioning that a little bit and raising their eyebrows. But I would say maybe most of the people are really um, incredibly impressed with how well he's done, and he's definitely, in my opinion, our most valuable player at this point. He's incredible.
I think that was the eyebrows from a lot of players, also our fans, I should say,
Mm,
when the news broke that you guys were
yeah.
linked to him because of his age.
Hmm.
I think they were like, because of previous track records of United signing
Yep.
players where they've come for the money,
Yep.
and it just hasn't worked. Like Alexis Sanchez and all those
Yep.
type of players.
Yeah.
But when I first heard the news, I have a lot of United friends, so I told my friends, look, forget how much money you're paying for him as a transfer fee or his salary. You're signing an elite defensive midfielder. He hasn't
Exactly.
declined in his ability. They've sold him because they've brought in a younger player in Schumanni. So that's why they were
Yep.
happy or willing to let him go. So
Exactly.
the surprise has been the goals. I know he had it in his locker to score
Yeah.
long shot bangers, but
Yep.
the way he's scoring like a goal scorer right now, yeah,
You'd be
it's
scoring headers as well, like in set
everything.
pieces. Like what? And we've been screaming for a defensive midfielder for the longest time. I've
Yeah,
probably the really good one ever since has been like since Michael Carrick, but
yeah.
that's been years and whatnot. So we've been deprived of that for so long. So it's really nice to see that. But it's not just the defensive aspect; it's also, like you said, him also getting into the score sheet and whatnot,
Yeah.
scoring different types of goals, and just his winning mentality with winning Champions League several times in a league and whatnot. The guy is a beast. That's as simple as I can make it,
No,
literally.
he's certainly yes. I wouldn't argue with that. In terms of your let's say the right side of midfield. So who would normally play? Would it be it wouldn't be Fred, would it? Would it be Bruno that you'd put in midfield?
Yeah, I mean Bruno kind of with us, like we have a little bit of a difference. We kind of have more, we're like a double pivot where we have
Yeah.
um, Casemiro alongside maybe Fred, or at the beginning was Eriksen, but Eriksen has been, injured for a while.
Okay.
Um, and Bruno has kind of been more so playing within that number 10 role, sometimes as a winger, but
Okay.
you could maybe say Fred, but Fred has been actually very good since after the World Cup.
Hmm.
Um, I could say Fred. Bruno, I do think is important to definitely bring in there. So I would say like Casemiro and Bruno is kind of like, you know,
100%.
oh yeah, for me, just because Bruno is
Yeah,
also an integral part into
100%.
the team as well. Like he's definitely, always available, and for me, availability is the best ability, and he always shows that. He's been,
Yeah,
scoring more and getting assists and whatnot, creating a lot of chances. So his stats is going up. Not that I definitely care that much about stats, but sometimes it's okay to have that into account and whatnot. But
yeah.
I would say Bruno. But I don't know who. Yeah, I mean, your midfield. No disrespect, but your. I mean, we know y'all midfield is. It's questionable. It's questionable.
Very questionable. The only person that I can even throw into this mix is Thiago. Um,
Yeah.
the only problem with Thiago is, I know a lot of people have different opinions about Thiago. People say that we signed the wrong player because he doesn't fit the mold of how a Liverpool midfield should
Mm,
be. I
yeah.
disagree with that.
Yeah.
But the problem with Thiago for me is we heavily rely on him to start every game.
Mhm.
He's not that kind of player. He's had an injury prone career for the last few years, especially since his Bayern Munich days. So he's more of a luxury player where when he comes in, yes, he's going to amaze the fans, but we
Mhm.
can't solely build a team around him. He just has to
No.
be one of many midfielders. So
Exactly.
I think in terms of ability wise, the squad is looking very united right now. So I'd like to throw in a midfielder.
Yep.
So I go for Thiago on the left hand side, but at the same time on the right hand side, I think Bruno for me, like you said, the numbers might not be high as previous seasons, but you have to see what he's doing on the pitch. It's all about the eye test as well. He's been a
Yes.
very effective team player this year. So,
Mhm.
um,
He's our captain
so
as well, or on the field at least, on the pitch.
do you think the departure of Ronaldo has helped improve his form? Because I feel like people always thought with Ronaldo, there maybe that overshadows his responsibilities as sort of a captain figure within the team. Do
Mhm.
you see anything in that?
At the beginning, I was like, nah. But then again, like I see the point that people are raising. In terms of that, I would say like maybe now it's not necessarily like, oh, I have to accustom everything to Ronaldo and whatnot,
Yeah.
and to make sure that he gets the goals and yada yada yada. Like, but it's also, I feel like Bruno has kind of gotten more of that free role again, which we kind of was missing for a while. So I would say that he is, getting more so back into that for sure. And that's nice to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So could we put Thiago in this team? Would you accept that, or would you say Fred deserves to go ahead of him?
With
I'm
Thiago,
being
like you
desperate
mentioned.
here. You can tell.
No, I see it. I mean, let's be honest, it's not going to be that many Liverpool players, so
I
I
know.
you gotta pick your
Got to choose my
battles where you
battles.
can. But for sure, I mean, I would be. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of Thiago in a way, but
Okay.
there's some attributes that I do like. I just think that maybe the injuries is a bit much, if I'm going to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
But I would love to put Fred there, but we can. You know what? Yeah, would I? Okay, okay, okay. We'll put on. We'll put in Thiago, and then we'll
Okay.
put Bruno. Ah,
You're
I'll
too
be
kind.
nice.
You're too kind.
I can be
You're too kind.
nice.
I'm taking that. I'm taking that running
Hey.
away with that one. So I'm not I'm not gonna debate about that one anymore. So I've got Thiago there, and then we've got Bruno Fernandes. So front three, I think the left hand side, I think there's only one winner with that one, right?
Yeah, right here actually, Rashford. Yeah.
Yes. What have you made of his form this year? Because I feel last year was a difficult season for him. He didn't
Mm,
perform to his level.
yeah.
Even Jurgen Klopp said it in the conference today. He doesn't
Mhm.
want to speak highly of Manchester United, but one positive, Rashford, and you have to give his plaudits in terms of how he's done,
Okay.
how amazingly he's changed the fortune of his career right now. So,
Okay.
what have you made of his switch up in terms of his new lease of life right now?
I've been super impressed. I mean, I was one of those like it was definitely very hard to see, and how things were going last season, right? It was toxic and whatnot, and he wasn't up to par. I would say like under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the my fellow Norwegian, um, he was definitely using him too much. I do feel like Rashford was I mean, he has come out since and said that he was, playing with injuries and whatnot, even though he probably should have uh, rested for certain games and whatnot. But he wasn't dealing good also when it comes to off the pitch and
Yeah,
whatnot. So for me, I was never in doubt that okay, at some point he'll have to turn around, just because I just knew that there's an ability there, there's a potential there. I have seen it before, and it's been very nice to see that he definitely is. I don't like necessarily to use just in form and whatnot, because I feel like this is the true Rashford that I've always wanted to see. We've seen
yeah,
glimpses and whatnot, periods, of course, but right now this is, the it Rashford that you know really is, getting out his full potential, in my opinion. And also you have, a manager such as Ten Hag that has really brought um, it out of him, and tweaked his game a bit as well, in terms of,
yeah.
scoring different types of goals. He has added headers into his game, which he usually hasn't really done before. So his decision making has gotten a lot better, and he just looks hella good, and I am happy, and I just hope it may long continue. Yes.
I think it may go under the radar, but I think the inclusion of Benny McCarthy as an attacking coach
Yes.
has
Yep.
definitely helped his finishing,
100%.
because that's one area where I feel like he's improved dramatically. Where I
Yep.
think in previous years he was very erratic in front of goals, especially in one-on-one
Yes.
situations. Now he's
Exactly.
very calm and has a lot of composure in front of goals. So
Hmm.
that's been one of his traits. But I feel like he's improved a lot. His all-round game has improved as well. He has a
Hmm.
lot better awareness. He's
Mm.
like you said, he's making the right passes. He's got the right movement as well. So yeah, I think everyone has a soft spot for Rashford, despite what your affiliations are. So I
Yeah.
think yeah, it's nice to see how he's doing this season. So left hand
Exactly.
side, I think goes without saying who we placed there.
A,
Right wing. So would you have an argument with Anthony in that position, or is it the Egyptian king that's going in that position?
I just I mean, I like Anthony. I think we need to see more from him for sure. But it's been a little bit. I don't feel like we kind of gotten the right hand side completely unlocked, in
Mm,
terms of, if we're going to compare it to the left hand side with, Rashford and whatnot. But so for me, I'm not going to necessarily, really put in the battle to have like, no, we're going to have Anthony. I wouldn't. But at the same time, also with Salah, I just feel like he has completely, in my opinion, though, has dropped off quite a bit since, the AFCON final,
yeah,
with losing it to, Senegal,
there we go.
you
Yeah.
know, against his former teammate Sadio Mane, and then, missing out on the World Cup. So I just feel like he hasn't really been that solid that we know he can be. Even though maybe recently, maybe since now the World Cup, maybe he has been doing a little bit better. I don't know. I have been watching a lot of Liverpool games. I didn't quite catch the Wolves game, but I don't know. But maybe we would say him. But this season, though. But at the same time, we haven't seen that much from Anthony to really be like,
Mm.
Anthony, I'll give you Salah. I'll give you Salah. Give you
I
Salah.
think
Or
I mean even Salah having one of his worst seasons, still got 20 goals and assists, which is like quite
he
remarkable.
really does that? Freaking hell.
Yeah, I
Lord
know
have.
it's
Okay.
surprised.
Okay.
So,
Damn.
but in terms of Anthony, do you see him as the long term right winger in this team, or do you think he's still young and still learning his trade? Kind of similar to how we've got Darwin Nunes, where he's quite
Mm-hmm.
raw and he's not quite up to skill, but
Yep.
there's a player there.
Mm-hmm. I would say a little bit of both. I definitely, I mean, Ten Hag was really pushing to get him at the
Mm,
end of the day, in the transfer window. He was like, "Yo, we got to get him. Like this is the
okay.
guy." So we
Mm,
definitely did overpay, but not that he necessarily was worth the price. But there has been some aspects, especially when it comes to big games. Like I remember his debut against Arsenal, scoring a screamer, and then maybe he dropped up a little bit because he just came in with a bang, and then
yeah.
the expectations were really high, of course. But there's definitely some aspects to the game that I do like, and I remember, where there were a few games since the World Cup where he wasn't playing, or quite a lot, um, where we kind of was feeling like, we do miss a little bit of Anthony. He defensively, he tracks backs, he's really
Mm,
good. He definitely can work on his game when it comes to taking on defenders. That's something that he can work on. I have been seeing that he is improving that for sure. And yeah, I do think there's a potential with Anthony, to definitely be getting, just securing that right wing spot. I do think is something there. Whether we get another right wing or we have another, I don't necessarily think Sancho will be more so on the right. He probably will be more on the left, maybe a little bit more in
mm,
the 10 role. But you never know. We could also maybe get that Diallo back, to challenge him. The youngster that plays for, I believe, was Sunderland on loan. So maybe
yeah,
he will challenge Anthony a bit. But like I said, I do think Anthony probably will at some point, maybe next season, will get that right wing secured to make
yeah,
it that his, what I'm thinking. But yeah.
yeah. He has shown glimpses, but I think he needs to stop doing that spinneroonies trick, whatever he does. I don't know what he calls it because, yeah, it's like the most
Oh,
pointless skill I've seen on the pitch. But I
he
think if
has
he
calmed
cuts
down
that
a little
out,
bit though, but he's a Beyblade, but he's our Beyblade. So fine.
you gotta take that, isn't it?
Yeah,
So I think we'll safe to say we'll put Salah in the right wing position. Now up
I
top,
did.
so
Yeah.
would you say Salah or would you
No,
put
no, no, no.
Anthony
I,
there?
I was about to say, when you said like 20, was it 20 goal involvement?
Yeah,
Freak, I
yeah,
swear to you, I did not realize. Because,
yeah.
Liverpool, in all actuality, they're not being good this season, right? So I was like, the, how on earth did he do that? Freak,
Far
that's,
from it. Far
wow.
from it. I think he's got 9 goals in the league, and I think it's the Champions League that's helped him out. So
Oh, yeah,
he, he
yeah.
got the hat trick against Rangers, so that's sort of improved his tally there.
I get
And he
that.
has been more of a assist maker than he has been in previous seasons. So
That's true. I've seen maybe more assists from him. But yeah, hey, that's
yeah,
that's
so
good though.
that's probably why 20 does sound like a big number, but yeah,
It does.
it is what it is. Now
But yeah.
up front, so uh, I think for Man United, there hasn't been a very sort of a focal point, I would say, this year. You've had Martial playing there, Rashford has played there as well, but obviously we've already
Mhm.
got Rashford on the left wing.
Yeah.
What have you made of the inclusion of Weghorst in the United team?
I've been very impressed by Vegas. Yes, okay, he's not. I mean, we got him as a striker. He hasn't been, known to be the most prolific goal scorer and
Yeah.
whatnot. We all know that. But there's other aspects to his game that does work for, the style or what Ten Hag needs to do in certain games with the pressing and whatnot, which he does very well. Sometimes he's kind of been putting him into that number 10 role, but
Mm,
I do believe that if Martial would have been a lot more available, then he would have been, that actual number 9 that we do need. But obviously he hasn't been, so we needed to, up to go into the market and get that course. He was available, and I've been very impressed. So yeah, but I don't know. As a number 9, yeah, hmm, I'm not
There
really
isn't many
sure.
for there isn't many for United that I can think.
No,
Obviously for Liverpool,
yeah,
Jota hasn't really played much this season. It's really been Nunes that I'll say
yeah,
that could sort of grant that position. And for me, to be fair, he's shown a lot of heart in his performances, and I think that's what Liverpool fans appreciate. Someone giving
yeah,
it their all whenever they play. And
mm-hmm,
he's playing in sort of unfamiliar territory right now, playing on the left as well, but he's still doing an effective job for the team. For me, he's still quite raw.
yeah,
Um, he's kind of similar to what Rashford was, we were talking about earlier on, where he, in front of goal, he can be quite erratic. So he does need to learn to have that calmness and composure in front of goal. So
mm-hmm,
he was one of the players that I said earlier in the summer that we should go for. And then when
mm-hmm,
he started playing, people were questioning Darwin Nunes. I was thinking, oh, people are going to start talking about my talent ID being quite low. But I have
yeah,
confidence in Darwin Nunes. I think he will do well.
I
Um,
think so too.
I think it's just a matter of time. Once he starts scoring more consistently, I think the goals will come. So, what
Mm-hmm.
do you make of Darwin Nunes so far this season?
I mean, I was definitely one of, the people at the beginning thinking, yeah, I think it might be the flop of the season, one of the flops of the season.
Oh shoot, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I was not on that train, but but overall, I would say as the season has evolved and whatnot, there's something exciting and intriguing with
Mm,
Darwin Nunes. He'd be creating a lot of chances for you guys if he just works a little bit more on, the decision making and whatnot, and
yeah,
really getting his confidence more up, which I do think he has done, but a little bit
yeah,
more, then I definitely do think he can become like a goal scoring threat for sure,
yeah,
um, in my opinion. So yeah, I've kind of changed my mind on him. Like, yes, he's kind of been like a little bit of the banter at at the beginning, and whatnot, or maybe a
yeah,
lot. But I would say he changed my mind. I do think that there's something interesting with him. So he'll, if or when Liverpool just kind of sort out more so the midfield and other aspects of the overall squad, and when
mm,
Jurgen Klopp works on his in-game management, then I do think that will definitely benefit a player such as Darwin Nunes. I do think he will probably start to really get the ground running for sure, in my opinion. But hey, not that I hope it will happen, but I can see it being the case.
yeah. I was gonna say I hope so because we're looking at the signs there and we're
Yeah.
praying for that to happen. I think it will happen, but it's just a matter of time. I think next
Yeah.
season you'll probably see the true Darwin Nunes scoring a lot of goals. Hopefully, in
Hmm.
terms of flop of the season, it's funny. So when I did my predictions, I went for Richarlison. I can't stand that guy. So he hasn't scored many goals this season, has
No,
he?
no,
So
no.
I
I
feel like I
might
might be
agree
right
with
on
you
that one.
now. I see it.
Yeah.
Whoo! It ain't looking good with Richardson. Lord
No,
have
he's
mercy.
been
Mm-mm.
he's been dreadful. So
He
he's
really
had a
has
good
been.
World Cup. But obviously, that doesn't count in terms of
It
our
does. Yeah.
Premier League
First.
predictions there. So
Mm-hmm.
with
Exactly.
regards to this team, I think we can safely say Nunes is the number 9.
We can put it in.
We can put Nunes
It's
there.
fine.
So Liverpool fans, I tried my best to try and get as many Liverpool players in as you can see. That's the best I could do because there wasn't much more I could have done in terms of that. So guys, let me
Yeah.
know what you think of our combined 11 in the comments. I'd like to hear what you guys think. Just go through some comments before we conclude the show. We've got Daz who says my lineup would be Allison, Trent, Konate, Virgil, Robertson, Stefan, Bajtic, Fabinho, Henderson, Salah, Jota, and Nunes. So pretty much same formation as me, but I think you've gone for Robertson, which I do think will happen, but I would have preferred Simicast and Nunes as well. The reason why I didn't pick Nunes,
Mm,
I think he'll become a better threat later on in the game. So
I see
when
that.
maybe tired legs and stuff, I think he'll have a more of an impact. Whereas Gakpo can kind of just have that build up play, try and open things up, and
Yep.
then if we need a bit more of a threat, I'd rather be Nunes than Gakpo coming off the bench. If you
Mm,
see my point there, so that's why I've gone for Nunes. But hey, if Nunes starts, I'm not arguing with that one.
yep.
Another comment here from Brosh. Even without bias, there is no way any of the Liverpool back five get into this combined 11 based on form this season. LOL. Yeah. Look, I had to fight for that Allison spot. Um, but yeah, even Virgil van Dijk, I'm sure Liverpool fans be like, you should have made a harder case, but I couldn't. I had to be honest there. So it is
Yeah.
what it is in that regards. Uh, Ravi says big up, and he's got a question for us as well. Where do you see both teams having most joy in the game? So, Sophia, where do you see United having the most joy?
Ooh, I mean, midfield is going to be cracking for sure.
Yeah,
Um, but I would say like our defense is also looking very good. But in this case, just because your midfield isn't up to par, I
yeah,
would say the midfield, I think, would maybe be the most joy in the game for us in this case. Mm,
yeah. I think you're right. I think definitely from the United point of view, that would be the case.
mm,
Liverpool, on the other hand, it would probably come from Gakpo. I would say
yeah,
if he starts, but if Nunes starts, then I'll probably say Nunes, just because he offers great movement, is a live
yeah,
wire. I think his pace would trouble any defense.
mm,
So, yeah, Salah for me, he improved a lot better against the Wolves game, but tactically, I want him to play a bit more as an inside forward. He's playing too much as an out and out winger where he's hogging up the
yeah.
byline,
Hmm.
and that's not really his game anymore. Maybe when
Mm,
he was like a 21-year-old, but now
yep.
that's not really his game. his
Yeah.
game is that he's a natural goal scorer. So I want to see him more in the central. So I would go for Salah, but I think Gakpo might play a part if he's playing the more
Yep.
central area. I think he can try and unlock doors and try and unlock passes. Jota, I'm hoping he gets a goal because I was watching some content earlier on. Apparently, he hasn't scored in 11 months, which is crazy.
11
Uh,
months?
11 months because he's been injured so many times.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Okay.
he had a big injury last season as well, and then this season he was on and off. Then the World Cup
Oh,
came,
of course. Yeah,
and then
yeah,
he's just come
yeah.
back from injury. So he's had a very
Wow.
injury-plagued season, to say the least. So
Hmm.
he needs a goal more than anyone else in this team. So I think if he gets that goal, I think his confidence will rise as well. So,
Yeah.
so
I
if
think
I
he
had to
didn't he
say,
score against us like last season or something? I'm pretty sure he
I
did.
I think
One
so.
of
I
the
think it
games.
was like late. I think it was like April. I can't remember who it was. I think it was like April that he scored. So he hasn't scored many goals. He didn't have many games in preseason.
Hmm.
And then I think he played up till September. Then he had another injury. He had a recurring
Yeah,
injury as well.
of
So,
course.
so
Hmm.
yeah, it sounds crazy when you say 11 months
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. I'm like, what?
But yeah, I'm hoping he breaks the deadlock very, very soon. Got a few more comments here. So we've got another comment from Daz. How do you see us pressing United? So one thing that I've analyzed with the Liverpool team is that we're not really a pressing team this season, which is crazy to say. We don't
Hmm.
really deploy that Gergen press as we're formerly known to do in the past. I think Pep Linders, our number two, has had an influence in terms of how we set up as a team. So we're playing very more technical football. We're trying to play very technical football, but we're not really pressing from the front anymore. So
Hmm.
maybe we don't have the right personnel anymore.
Maybe.
Who knows? But I think the key for this game would be who attacks the other team first, in my opinion, which obviously which goes without saying it's quite a simple concept. But Liverpool have conceded a lot of goals in the opening 10, 15 minutes this season. So
Hmm.
if United were to really press Liverpool and get the goal, I would think that would deflate our confidence throughout the whole game. So
Okay.
I feel like whoever goes for that punch as soon as the whistle blows, I think
Hmm.
they will have the advantage. That's the kind of prediction I have. But
Okay.
also, Bobby Firmino apparently has announced that he will be
Yeah.
leaving the club. So, as a United fan, what did you think of that news?
I mean, I almost kind of feel like he hasn't really been playing that much for you guys, for a while. So, at some point you will probably think that, he'll move on to something, another challenge or whatnot. He's done what he can do for Liverpool, and um, probably the best decision for both parties is, to part ways and
Yeah,
whatnot. But it's been an important player for you guys throughout, the club era and whatnot. So a player
yeah,
that I do rate for sure. Yeah, I believe that he definitely a big miss, but you got to see if maybe another player can maybe do half of the job that he did, or
mm,
something, something that can kind of carry um,
yeah.
that job, if that makes sense. But,
That's the
but
thing. So, I actually think Gakpo was brought in to be a Firmino replacement. I
mm,
know Gakpo traditionally plays as a left winger, but in recent games, he's been deployed as that sort of false
yeah,
nine player. So I think they had the thinking where get someone who can be versatile, who can play that false nine, but also can offer their ability on different positions as well. So I think Gakpo has been brought in to be that long-term replacement. Me personally, I'm one of Firmino's biggest fans. He's been one of my favorite players under the Klopp era. So it definitely sad to see him leave. However,
mm,
I do think it's the right time
yeah,
for the player in terms of his career, maybe having a new challenge. But also for
exactly.
club, we need to move forward. We have a big rebuilding job to do, to say
You
the least,
do.
in the summer. So a
100%.
lot of aging players.
Yeah,
So we need some fresh blood there. We've got major surgery, trying to get rid of as many players and
yeah.
try and embed some quality within the squad. So that's probably another show for another day in terms of who I'd want to see come
Hmm.
into the club. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a long list to say to say the least.
I can see that.
Uh, yeah, so that's the wrap up of our show tonight. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you for all the comments that have come through. So big up to True City Fan, Jordan, Brosh, Daz, Ravi as well. Thank you for participating and being part of the show. Big thank you to Sofia. Thank you so much, Sofia, for joining the show. Please
Thanks for having
give
me.
the floor is yours. Please let everyone know where to follow you and where they can find you.
Thank you, Ozzy. I appreciate why you asked me to be here. It's been a lot of fun. You guys can find me on Sophia's Football Talk, both on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I'm also a little bit on Twitter. That's just Sophia's Football. But yeah, I do, on YouTube, I be basically doing a lot of live stream almost every day. Um, I kind of like to say like 70% Man United content, but then 30% other content as well. So, watch alongs for other teams and leagues as well, and match previews, match reactions. So, yeah, I do a little bit of everything. But yeah, you know, do check me out. Yeah,
No, thank you. And please do subscribe to Sophia's channel.
thank you.
Sophia is a hard worker. I've seen the grind that you've been doing. You've been doing
Thank
a
you.
lot of content. So keep up the good work. You're doing an amazing job.
Thanks,
And yeah,
bro.
please support Sophia. I will drop her link to her channel in the description after the show. So please make sure you do that. And as always, guys, thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I plan to do a match reaction on Sunday. I'm not sure if it'll be straight after the
Ooh.
game or later that evening, depending on my mood. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But as always, guys, take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Good evening.
Peace.